The AI revolution is ushering in trillions of dollars in new investments and in technology that could dramatically change every aspect of our lives.
Well, some economists liken this era to the early internet boom of the 1990s, but this weekend's essay in the Forecast newsletter asks the question, does that parallel hold up? Bloomberg News senior editor Chris Anstey joins us now from Boston. Chris, great to have you with us. You have the President's economic team making this argument, saying it's like the run-up to the dot-com bubble bursting, I suppose. You argue there are problems with the parallel. Just to quote a bit from your essay.
They don't mention the bubble.
They don't mention the bubble, I should say.
They just mention the early years.
The fervor and the investment and the excitement and all of that. You write the bottom line is that technological revolutions don't take place in a vacuum. The wider macro context is as important as the technology itself. Just tick through, if you could, what's different today in that wider macro context than back in the 1990s?
Yes, so people like Scott Bessent and Kevin Hassett, the Treasury Secretary and National Economic Council Director, what they're focusing on is just one little tidbit here. Specifically, in the mid-1990s, they say, look, there was this big boom in internet and computing investment that improved the productivity picture, that allowed the U.S. to grow at a faster pace without spurring inflation. And Alan Greenspan, the Federal Reserve chair of the time, picked up on this. He was very prescient, and he realized that the Federal Reserve could keep interest rates low for longer and allow this productivity boom to unfold. But there were other things going on, as I point out in the essay. And one was, of course, globalization. That was just the early years of incorporating China, especially, into global supply chains.
Yeah, Chris, you start with this anecdote where you apparently blurted out China at Alan Greenspan in the middle of a speech. You want to go through that
That's
for
right.
us?
Yes, I was the incoming U.S. economy team leader, and we had Alan Greenspan at the Bureau. He was a longtime contact of our then Bureau Chief Al Hunt, and I guess I was, eager to impress my new colleagues that, I knew all about what Greenspan was talking about, and I kind of blurted out that his most important metric looking back at disinflation over the past decade was the declining price of Chinese goods imported into the United States. And he kind of glanced over at me and scowled and said, do you want to continue with the whole presentation? I said, oh, no, sure. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. But, as I wrote in the essay, it left in my mind, that metric as an important ingredient. And you don't see this from the Trump team as they talk about, the 1990s experience.
There is this belief among the president's team that there's going to be this huge boost to productivity. It's not going to have a dramatically negative effect on the labor market. It's going to benefit a lot of workers. When you look back at the 1990s, how long did it take, Chris, for Alan Greenspan, other policymakers, economists, to get a fuller sense of how dramatic those changes that were unleashed with the internet actually were?
Well, the team is correct in saying that Greenspan was, extraordinarily quick to pick up on this. And in retrospect, he was absolutely right. You guys probably remember back then there were all those ads for Cisco systems. Are you ready for the internet boom? No doubt that it had a profound effect on productivity, and it improved a lot of things. We saw, economic growth pick up to an extraordinary pace compared with the previous decade. But we also saw, as I said, all of these other dynamics, including, fiscal contraction. In borrowing that allowed the private sector to borrow without paying higher interest rates at the long end.
Chris Anstey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.